Tiny Toon Adventures 2: Trouble in Whackyland was released on the NES in 1993. Unlike its predecessor, which was a straightforward platformer with linear levels, this time you pick the order you want to play these stages in, and they vary in terms of design and gameplay, more or less. It follows the plot where Buster and his friends are invited to the grand opening of the amusement park Whackyland by a quote-unquote secret admirer, which is pretty shady in and of itself. And of course it turns out that it's just Montana Max luring them into a trap so he can kill them, I guess. The levels are modeled after the theme of an amusement park, so Babs rides the roller coaster, Plucky rides the bumper cars, Hampton rides a train, and Furball rides the log flume, while Buster navigates his way through the final stage, the Funhouse, which is unavailable at the start of the game. To unlock the Funhouse, you need to get tickets, either 4 gold tickets, which you get 1 for winning each of the 4 other rides, or by earning 50 tickets altogether. You'll get these tickets by going to the ticket booth and cashing in your points in exchange for the tickets. So interestingly, you don't have to beat every level in the game to beat the game. If 1 or 2 stages are giving you trouble, then you technically can just grind out one particular stage that you do well in until you get enough tickets. The only thing is, you really have to grind these stages out, because you don't get a lot of tickets for beating a stage, and it costs tickets to even access the stages. The tickets are kind of like your lives. Once you run out of tickets, you can't go on any of the rides, and it's game over. There are only 4 rides prior to the final Funhouse stage, and the results are mixed at best. In the roller coaster and log flume rides, you're spending the whole time chilling on a platform and deciding when to jump, duck, or dangle to avoid shit in your way. The roller coaster is fast as shit throughout most of it, and you have to resort to trial and error and memorization of all the obstacles to have any kind of a chance. The log flume is definitely more reliant on your reactions. The train stage is a pretty straightforward platformer, where you have to maneuver from car to car and bump these pricks out of your way. And the final Funhouse stage is similar, although it's one of those fucking levels with a shit ton of doors that lead to different rooms, and you're just wandering around until the time limit goes off and you're fucked. Pretty much a flashback to Monster Party's Round 6, plus a time limit. In the bumper car ride, you're competing with these other 2 dickheads trying to bump each other into the pit. There are 3 rounds of this, and it may look decent, but it's a cluster of all clusters. First big problem are the controls, which would definitely have been way more effective to have tank controls where left always turns the car left and right always turns right no matter which way the car is facing, while a button like B would be the accelerator while A reverses. But instead, the arrows move you in the exact direction based on the overhead view, which does not feel natural at all, and the fact that you've got all these fucking bumpers here to knock you around to the point where you don't even have control of yourself whatsoever just makes it worse. Yeah, I know it's bumper cars, but it's not a goddamn pinball machine. It's tough enough to knock these guys into the hole while keeping yourself away from the pits without having to deal with the walls knocking you every which way but loose. In this mode, just like all the others, you're up against the time limit, but if you fall into the pit, you lose a heart, and if you lose all 3, you have to go back to the map screen and pay off tickets to go back on the ride. These hearts are your hit points in the rest of the rides as well. You can replenish these by finding the heart power-ups, but you also only get 3 of them, and there are no checkpoints. So while there aren't many levels, and the game offers you the freedom to beat it in multiple ways, including bypassing certain stages you don't want to bother with, it will still provide some difficulty, especially in the Funhouse stage where you'll drive yourself mad trying to find your way out of it. I can respect Tiny Toons 2 for trying something different, although I would say it should have learned a lesson from Muppet Adventure and Magic Kingdom, where the whole theme park game where you can beat the levels in different styles in the order of your choosing prior to the final stage type of a game just doesn't usually work out that well. In the next generation of games, Tiny Toons would go back to basics and yield better results. Tiny Toons 2 isn't a complete disaster or anything. It's playable, but it's pretty much more of a disjointed curiosity than anything. So the game starts out with a cutscene of the new amusement park opening up soon, with Buster getting a letter from the owner, dubbed as his secret admirer, that he and his friends are invited to the opening ceremony. But come to find out, Montana Max has rigged the park with traps and whatnot, and you're taken to the map screen to pick your poison. Now, like I said earlier, you can pick these stages in any order you want, and if you really want to grind out a level or two that you're comfortable with, you can do that too. If you're going for all four, then there's no real reason to pick them in any particular order, so I'll go clockwise starting from the ticket booth. So the first stage I'll show you is the log flume, which costs 3 tickets. Playing as Furball, you'll start sliding down these slopes. Don't let it freak you out, just stay on the log, and then jump over these vertical logs before jumping to the next log when the first one falls into the pit. When ascending, these frogs will jump out at you, jump forward, and then drift back again to avoid them and the water. Then you'll reach some jumping fish. Stay back to avoid contact with them, get ready to change logs again, and jump to avoid the frogs on your way back up. Stay on the log as it jumps the pit, duck under the bird that flies over you, and jump onto this hanging platform that glides across the cable. You can control its vertical movement, so weave your way between the spiked blue protrusions, along with the birds that come in from both sides, especially this one spot where you'll have to duck down after maneuvering between them, and then you'll jump back onto another log. Jump over the bird, and you'll reach the end where Furball will sink, and then a whale sends him out of the blowhole, and the ride is over, and you get a golden ticket. Now the train ride where you play as Hampton, and it costs 2 tickets. By pressing B, you'll do this belly attack, so deliver it to these guys when they show up. You don't want to jump on them. Weave your way between the stop signs and grab the pies. They'll give you bonus points for more tickets. Stay low as this bird swoops down, and be ready for these moving stop signs. Don't let them crush you. As these bats fly in, kill them and quickly get on the car on the right because it'll detach and you'll be fucked if you're too far back. These guys hanging out in the windows will try to throw soccer balls at you. Be ready to avoid them. They come in pretty fast, and there's not much of a way to predict when he'll attack. Your most efficient option might be to just kill him, but you do risk bringing yourself closer to harm's way, so pick your poison. Duck down low to get under these low ceilings, and then you'll reach another point where the cars separate, so get to the far right. After that, you'll run into a few of these overhead boxing gloves that'll line up with you and then launch. Wait a few seconds and then run so it misses you. There's no real visual cue when it launches, you'll just have to time it right. You'll then reach the boss, Arnold the Pitbull, and he's the only boss in the initial 4 rides of the game. He'll come out of one of these 3 holes. You'll see the lid open up prior to him popping out and throwing a punch. It's like whack-a-mole, except the mole attacks you at the same time, I guess. He doesn't have any long-range attack, and this is his only move. However, your only attack is the belly flop, so you gotta react quickly. Stay in the center so you have enough time to reach any of the positions he might be coming from, and quickly seize the moment, striking just as he comes up. After a few hits, he's done for, and the gold ticket is yours. Like I said in the review portion, the bumper cars are a clusterfuck. Thankfully, it only costs 1 ticket. You get a charge up move by holding the A button and firing off. Use this if you're lined up with him and he's got some good distance behind him in the direction you want to hit him. Otherwise, do your best with these awful controls and maneuver your way between all the bumpers because they'll send you into an unpredictable pattern to who knows where. There are 3 rounds you have to complete on different screens, and you have to finish them all within the full time limit. It doesn't reset from round to round. The first screen is a little more open, with the pit toward the top of the screen, although you've got some of these bumpers in the middle to throw you off. The second round is a tight corridor that goes around in an oval pattern. Not only is this a pain in the ass to keep yourself from bouncing all over, but you also don't want to bounce the opponent because they'll just bounce back and forth, or sometimes in the opposite direction you want them to go. So be patient as you traverse, and try to knock these guys to the right side where the pit is. The last round is similar to the first in that it's a little more open, but there are more bumpers to make it more of a pain to get your opponents in the middle where the pit is. After finishing all 3 rounds, you'll get the gold ticket, and that's it. Lastly, the roller coaster, which costs 4 tickets to enter. You play as Babs, riding one of these platforms on a track similar to the log flume. Drop down to get the low-hanging fruit and turn back up to get the one on top. As you drop down, duck under the low ceiling, and then flip upside down to get under the even lower ceiling as you swing back around. Then duck again, swing under to get the fruit, and then swing down again to get by this low ceiling, but only after you pass by the floor underneath. Then duck under and flip back up quickly. Jump to the next platform after this one runs its course, swing down and quickly pull back up and duck underneath the ceiling, and then do another quick swing underneath and back up again right after it picks up speed through all of these twists. Jump over this guy as he tries to get in your way, and get ready to change platforms again. Jump over a few more of these pricks, and then as you descend again, then jump over this protrusion, swing down to get under the next one, and then again for the one after that. Swing under the next couple low ceilings, jump over these guys while ascending, then duck and swing under and back up again, and you'll fly off on an umbrella, completing the ride and claiming the golden ticket. Now that you've got all 4 tickets, or after you've collected 50 in general, you can access the funhouse. You've got all these pits right away, and the lights go out. Great. Use the spring to give yourself a boost. Watch out for the concave platforms, jump to keep yourself from sliding into the pit, and watch out for the soccer players. Keep in mind you have an attack as Buster too, this spinny kick that can also work as a temporary anti-gravity device if you fall. You'll then reach one of these pits that has an arrow pointing down, indicating it's okay to go. And now begins the bullshit maze. Head left, get on this block and duck underneath the ceiling, then ride the next one over to the door up ahead. Keep in mind these blocks will regenerate, so if you miss your bus, just wait for the next one. And if you slip down this pit, just use these doors to reposition yourself back up here where you first dropped down from. So after entering the intended door, you'll see that you're upside down, or at least the illusion of the funhouse is presenting it as such. I don't know. Use this platform to jump down here. It may be awkward, but try it until you get it and enter the next door. Now head right, kill the soccer blokes, and enter the next door. Keep going right. There are more of these soccer guys. Use the springs to get up here and wipe them out. It's easier than avoiding the soccer balls while trying to jump the walls. You're going to be in midair anyway. Go through the door at the end, do some running slides to get under the gaps along the ceiling, drop down or drop up the pit to around where you started and go through the door on the ceiling. Use the spring to get up to this door, and you'll need to hop on this platform that'll swing around this mechanism as it travels forward. It'll only move as long as you're standing on it though. So don't worry about having to regain your footing if you have to attack these bats along the way. Wipe them out when they get in your way, and go through the door at the end. Now you're in a room with Elmira. She'll chase you around, but only from underneath. So make sure you stay on the platforms up top. Don't drop down, but if you do, get the hell back up there right away. If you land on a slopey platform, just keep jumping to stay on it, or you'll slide off. Go through the door at the end of the room, and now you've got more of these slopey platforms, and these giant teeth that come gnashing down at you when you get close. Then you'll come to a different kind of one of these platform contraptions, this time with 4 of them. And this time they move only when you jump on one of the platforms on the right side. It acts as a pump of sorts. So keep this pumping going until you get to the end. You might need to use the kick attack to give yourself some more jumping distance, and you've got a few more sets of slopey platforms before the door to the final boss. Grab this heart along the way if you need a refill. Montana Max appears in a blimp and starts dropping bombs. He'll start flying away, so give chase and kick the bombs back at him. You'll take a hit from both the explosion of the bombs or the bomb just plain hitting you. So make sure you kick any of the bombs that get in your face, but the good news is that this works for him too. You don't have to time it so that the explosion itself hits him, just the bomb. The direction the bomb goes depends entirely on the timing of your kick. I find the best way to get hits on him is to keep yourself directly underneath him, which you can do by simply running continuously, and there's no need to do a sprint, because if you do, you might kick bombs ahead of you that'll actually become a problem for you as you move along, so just keep this a slow burn. Unfortunately, this is not a checkpoint. If you die during this fight, you have to go back to the beginning of the funhouse again. So be careful not to get hit, and after giving him enough shots, he's done for. Buster leads the parade, and the credits roll. So that's it for Tiny Toons 2, and that's the last proper Tiny Toons game on the NES, not counting the educational Cartoon Workshop game. But we'd see the franchise get more video game treatment in the 16-bit era, but we'll get to that another time. And that wraps up this edition of Aqualung's Game Reviews. See you next time.